there's a very almost there's a rhythm, but almost like melodic rhythm to the writing that you have. And so I'm wondering, like, did you kind of work with them at all, or do you feel like these kids were smart enough to just pick it up immediately? And how much of it is based on the way the actual people talked? I mean, did you use that as reference or stuff like that?
You know, I didn't try to imitate the way other people talked. I wrote the way, at first I did. For the first couple of days, I panicked and I thought, well, gee, you know, I'm 20 years older than these characters. How do I write in their language? And then I just decided not to do that. I'll write in my language and just let it be coming out of their mouths and hope that that works. And I think that it did. But in terms of the actors being able to master the language, which they were going to have to, they were going to have to casualize it. It couldn't read like big, difficult speeches. It had to seem like they were reciting their own phone numbers. First of all, we had many weeks of rehearsal, and rehearsal consisted of the actors sitting with David and myself around a table and just reading through the scene many, many times. But then the other thing that happened was David would shoot 60, 70, 80, sometimes 90 takes of a scene just to tire the actors out. These young actors kind of knock the acting out of them and to, again, casualize the language. And it was a successful method.
It seems on paper very strange to be like, hey, we're doing a film about Facebook. But actually, if you can kind of maybe explain.
I can. And I know that when the film was announced, there was an assumption that it was sort of the same thing as when a studio buys the rights to a Mattel toy and they make a movie out of G.I. Joe or something like that, that the movie was going to be about Facebook users. It's not. The movie isn't about friending or poking or anything like that. What the movie is about is that in the fall of 2003, Mark Zuckerberg was a sophomore at Harvard at the time, a computer genius, but like a lot of us when we're sophomores in college, very socially awkward. He was not part of the in crowd, and he wasn't one of the cool kids. And he had this idea for a website that would essentially take college life and put it on the internet. And this movie, first of all, centers around two lawsuits that were brought against him. One by his best and only friend, Eduardo Saverin, who's played by Andrew Garfield, who was betrayed by Mark. The other by a pair of identical twins, Cameron and Tyler Winklevoss, who rode crew at Harvard, and they rode crew for the U.S. Olympic team in Beijing, who claimed that Mark stole the idea for Facebook from them. So we're constantly cutting back and forth between two concurrent depositions and the story that's being told at these depositions from a few years earlier, from the fall of 2003 to the fall of 2004. And the movie, even though at the center of it is this very modern thing, Facebook, the story is as old as storytelling itself. It is about social status, friendship, loyalty, betrayal, jealousy, envy, money, and power. And it's if Aeschylus were alive today, if Shakespeare were alive today, if Paddy Chayefsky were alive today, they would write this story. Fortunately for me, none of those three writers were available, so I got to write the story.
It's quite relentless from the two scenes that I saw, how you portray Mark, because he doesn't come across as like the nicest or even, I don't know, he's a tough handle, you know. And so how do you kind of create a film about a person who doesn't have to be nice in the first 10 minutes?
Yeah, this was actually the first time I've ever written a movie or anything, play, a television show. It's the first time I've ever written anything where at the center of it was an anti-hero. So I actually had to go back and reread the instruction book, which is Aristotle's Poetics, which is, he defines for us what a tragic hero is, what an anti-hero is, and that kind of thing, and figure it out. And I'll tell you that the character of Mark Zuckerberg spends the first hour and 55 minutes of the movie being an anti-hero, and the final 5 minutes of the movie being a tragic hero. And that especially through Jesse Eisenberg's sensational portrayal of this, in spite of his social awkwardness, which oftentimes represents itself as anger, in spite of some of the choices he makes, which are the choices of a young person, of a 19-year-old person. I believe that by the end of the movie, the audience is going to kind of want to give him a hug, that they will feel his pain rather than feel anger at him, that of the price he paid for creating this colossus, which is first that he lost his best and only friend in the world, and second, ironically enough, there has been this massive invasion of his privacy.
Final last question.
Sure.
Why didn't you want to direct this film? If you were so involved from day one, why was this never a choice for you to kind of take on it yourself?
No, you know what? When I write something, I want the best director possible to direct it. And the fact is, if David Fincher says he wants to direct your movie, you don't think about it at all. It's great. You open champagne, David has made the movie of any screenwriter's dreams.